Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide, and today we're going to go on another thrifting adventure. It's been a while since I've gone thrifting, but I had some time this weekend, so I figured I'd check it out. Now, what am I looking for? As always, I'm looking for retro gaming things, comic books, toys, collectibles, and cool trinkets. So the first place that I checked out was a place called Penmar Antique Market. It's one that I haven't been to yet. I think I really creeped out the attendant because he's like, why the hell is this guy recording? But this is what the inside looks like when you walk in. Now, the first thing that I found was a gigantic pile of comic books, and this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm looking for. These are a bunch of $1 comics, and there are so many that it's almost overwhelming. You know, you go to these antique shops looking for a thing, and then you find too many of the thing. It's such a time-consuming process to sort through all of that stuff, but they also had a ton of video games, which got me excited because, again, this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm looking for, like old retro games, but nothing was really notable in the games that he had, and they were all pretty overpriced. They also had some little Orbit figures and this Alien figure. They had a couple of Star Trek figures, which I do collect, but I have the ones that they had, or if I didn't really wasn't looking for it, so I didn't end up picking anything up. As far as collectibles at this booth, they also had a bunch of pop figures, which is cool. I don't actively seek those out, but if I find a good deal, I'll pick them up on occasion. I did end up sorting through almost all of the dollar bin comic books here, and I picked up a few, nothing crazy. I mean, again, guys, these are $1 comic books, so they're there for a reason. None of these are particularly noteworthy. They don't have a ton of value, but there was some cool stuff that I found, and for $1, I'll pick it up. Mainly just cool covers and what have you. This one's in rough shape though, so I passed on that. The next booth I went to didn't have much of note. It was just a bunch of junk really, but they did have this cool Batman Super Smile set. It looks to be like a shot glass. And then I found in the booth next to it a bunch of baseball cards and sports memorabilia, which I could not care less about. This is not something that I collect. I did look through them just to see if there was any Marvel cards in here, but there weren't. Moving on, there was a case full of dice and marbles, because why not, I guess. The next booth had some odd trinkets and what have you. This mermaid statue. They had some religious memorabilia. They had this, what looks like a belt buckle, Dale Evans and Buttermilk. I have no idea what the hell that's about. And then I found some more cards. They had Tom and Jerry trading cards, which I don't care about particularly, so I passed on those, as well as the Trolls. And then I saw this Morbid Monster cards. I've never heard of it before, but I do like horror, and I love monster stuff, but the artwork on this sucked, and it had really generic backgrounds. This Youngblood set was a little bit more interesting, except it wasn't complete, so it's just not something I'm going to pick up personally. So I passed on all of that. Underneath, they had some sports cards, some Robin Hood cards, nothing of interest, really. At the next booth, they had a bunch of amazing music stuff, but specifically, they had a bunch of posters. This whole poster was so tempting because I grew up listening to these guys. I was really into grunge back in the 90s. They had Guns N' Roses, they had Queen, Bon Jovi, AC/DC, The Cramps. I mean, they had so much cool stuff here. They did have a Mr. Potato Head here and some superhero-themed mugs. That Batman one was given away back in the day at McDonald's. You could get that with a Happy Meal when those movies were coming out. At the next booth, I found what looks like a really rough-shaped Star Wars ship here, an X-Wing, and then this creepy doll, a couple of NASCAR cars, nothing of interest for me specifically. And then I found this rogue Eminem playing a trumpet, which is kind of cool if you're into that sort of thing. It was priced nice, and then another creepy doll because for some reason people like to collect these. No judgment on my end, but then I found this. This is a bunch of horror stuff, and the creature from the Black Lagoon, specifically, that mask caught my attention. They had Jason Voorhees from the Halloween series. They had Vecta from Stranger Things, which was cool. Haven't seen that one before. They had a Dracula mask that was from the original design. They've got Michael Myers, they've got House of a Thousand Corpses, they have just a bunch of stuff. There's some Beetlejuice masks, masks from the movie Saw, just all kinds of stuff. Up top, I believe the one on the left there is from Star Wars. There's a Beyonder. This is the creature that haunts me in my nightmares. I'll see you tonight, buddy. And then they had a bunch of other terrifying crap over here. But This guy must have owned a Halloween shop because he just has so many. Either he owns a Halloween shop or he's just a huge collector, but the tags were still on a lot of these, so I assume this is like overstock from off-season Halloween inventory, because in the next booth, adjacent to this one, I think, is the same owner, and it's just more Halloween stuff. He's got so much stuff here. It's amazing. Like, I love horror. It's my favorite genre, and this is just right up my alley. These critters were tempting, but he was asking like $60 a pop, and you can get them, these exact same ones, on Amazon for like 25, 30 bucks, so I didn't buy that. If it was priced better, I would have picked one of those critters up. They had this Phantasm device here, just a bunch of really cool stuff. This is from It. This is the Book of the Damned, I believe, from The Evil Dead. And then they had some Marvel figures as well scattered about, but nothing really noteworthy for me anyways. The only thing I was really on the verge of buying was this Camp Crystal Lake display piece, but I couldn't figure out where I would put it, so I passed on it. And then I found a bunch of Star Wars figures. I do collect these. I have a ton of them. And believe it or not, I don't have a Stormtrooper, so I saw this one and had to pick it up because I don't know how I don't have one of those already, but the vast majority of these I'm not looking for, or I already had, so I ended up skipping. This booth had a lot of Disney stuff. This was kind of neat if you're into that sort of thing. You know, I do like Disney. This looks like something like a wedding piece that you would put on top of a huge cake or something like that. I have no idea, but Tinkerbell stuff over here, just a lot of cool Disney figures. What really caught my eye, though, was the artwork. It looks like they had either lithographs or limited edition artwork here. This is one of only 5,000 that were made, and he had a couple of these, and that was tempting. The next booth had a bunch of animal-themed stuff. There was this bear lamp sculpted after a tree, I guess is kind of cool if you're into that. But what really caught my eye were these steampunk-looking figures over here. They had a hawk and owl. I just thought these looked so cool. It's like a clockwork design with gears everywhere, and they shine golden. They also had a bunch of like this mechanical spider, and then this Second Amendment, America, and then these snakes as well. So the next booth had this Pinocchio stuff. This was all 3D printed, but still kind of cool to see. The booth next to that had a bunch of video games, which caught my eye as soon as I saw it. But as I scrolled through them, there just wasn't anything really noteworthy. Anything that was worth getting, I already had, and the rest of it was just kind of filler, so I passed on most of those. I found some Barbie stuff. You'd think with the popularity of the movie, those would have gone up, but they're still pretty much worthless. This Batman classic series Batmobile and figure were kind of cool, but it's modern. You can find those at like your local Best Buy, and then they had some pop figures. I don't need any more of those. Moving on, I found more comic books at this booth, and the Fantastic Four caught my eye. Good old Dazzler. Nothing super noteworthy. This was mostly 90s stuff. In the next booth, though, I found a bunch of really cool X-Men figures, and I definitely collect these. I have a ton of them, and some of these I don't have. Specifically, this Beast figure I don't have, and it's on my list, but he was asking 30 bucks, and that's like $10 more than what you can get for on eBay, so I ended up passing on that just because the box wasn't in the best condition and it was overpriced. They also had this Guardians of the Galaxy set that came with a custom comic book that you could not buy in stores, which was kind of tempting, as well as a Thor one here, but I ended up skipping on both of those. They had some Star Trek stuff up here. So the next destination for me was my local comic book shop, which is called Atomic Comics. I was there to pick up some books, and unfortunately I didn't record anything there, but this is my haul. I ended up getting that Clockwork Owl to display because it's cool. I got the Stormtrooper because I don't have one. I got a pair of Wii games. I got Grand Theft Auto Vice City for the PS2 because surprisingly I didn't have that. I picked up a handful of Xbox 360 games that I didn't have at a local Goodwill. I grabbed a pair of official Sony memory cards for the PlayStation 2, as well as this wireless receiver for a wireless controller. I picked up Savage Tales #2 just because the cover was cool. This is an old Marvel magazine. I picked up a pair of Ren and Stimpy comics because they were in great shape and I do collect those, as well as a pair of Web of Spider-Man books. And then this was the big find. This is Aliens #1, and it's in great condition, and it is a first print. I only paid $20 for this at my local comic book shop, and high-grade copies go between $60 to $100 ungraded. I also bought this Alien figure at the same comic book shop, Atomic Comics. I only paid 20 something dollars for this. It sells for around 50 to 60 in the box on open, so I got a hell of a deal on that as well. But that's really going to do it for me today, guys. As always, thank you for watching, and I'm always interested to check out other people's thrift finds, so if you want to post something in a comment, let me know what you found if you go thrifting also.